Welcome back to the Real Marc Bagwell, a wrestling docuseries. I'm the chosen lawyer, and today, as my co-pilot, we have first cousin Jerry Hood. Don't call me Mark, although I look like Mark. Jerry, welcome back.
Yo, what's up? What's going on?
So let's talk about our outfits for today's episode. You are in full hunting gear, looks like.
Uh, That's correct. We're here at the farm, and as you know, full season is an all go, and been really successful so far. And cold weather down here, like you guys, eh?
Well, you're based out of where again? Remind me.
We're a little bit about 65 miles southeast of the Atlanta airport.
In the good old
So,
US of A, and I am about 20 kilometers outside of Toronto in Ontario, Canada. So we're from different countries, but we're still brothers from different mothers.
you got that right.
Uh
Wow.
the deer in your house, I can see one of them there. How do they like the cold? Are they pretty good no regardless of the weather?
Here it's been brutally warm, I guess, over the past, let's say 10 or 12 years. But now, I guess like you guys, we're this morning like 37 degrees. Today's high 53, 54. Incredible for October. It's like it used to be back in the 80s. I wasn't born back then, but somebody told me about it. So, hey.
Well, it's 6 degrees Celsius here.
You
Again, we
have to
got that
calculate that
different
for me.
imperial metric systems and all that. So we're driving in kilometers and our temperatures are in Celsius and we live in our backwards country and we love it. Now, do you recognize the guy on my shirt?
Ric Flair. He's 25% of the Four Horsemen.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. And regardless of who
Yeah.
changed in the Horsemen, it was always Rick. That was awesome. Now, before we get started today on wrestling talk, I know you're a big baseball fan, and the time of this taping, we have now decided the final series for the League Championship Series. The Yankees have won Game 5, and they are advancing to face the Astros. What a crazy playoff series we've had so far in baseball, eh? Eh?
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, no doubt for sure, as I always say. And all my fans critique everything that I say, the wows, the no doubt, the for sure. So, yeah, no doubt. Yankees really been pulling for them. I love the Yankees. Braves I don't want to say really let us down, but the Braves are supposed to be there. I don't know what happened.
It's called
Uh,
sucking, Jerry. They sucked. They sucked and they
oh
got
wow,
bounced.
man.
Yeah. And now we got Yankees, Astros, and we got the Phillies and Padres.
San Diego,
What? Yeah.
Manny Machado and Juan.
So I'm gonna
Don't
go out
throw
on a
me
limb and
inside.
tell
It's
you the
okay.
winner of the Astros and Yankees is gonna be winning the World Series. That's what everybody's gonna be saying. But those Phillies are actually looking pretty good.
They look good. We see a lot of them, from the East here, and we got season tickets to the Braves games, and so we see everybody. But we see the Phillies and the Mets, the Nationals more than anyone. But I've got a big question for you, and I guess everyone else is: we keep Rosario, we keep Ozuna, we get rid of Jock Peterson and Soler, and I know you don't know ahead of time, but I just don't know. I don't. I guess that's why I stay here on the farm and they do what they do. But it just God puzzles me. Just it's unbelievable. We got a strong team coming back, and that's what we're looking forward to. You guys are still in it, and hey, better days ahead.
Well, you got a World Series win at least, and you had our GM thanks to that because the Jays were not bright enough to keep him, and he goes off and wins a World Series with the Braves. So congratulations on that last year, and lots of great baseball action going. But in the meantime, in our wonderful world of wrestling, people are going bananas because Triple H has taken over WWE. The whole programming styles changed. Guys are coming back. It's been, you know what? It's fun to watch wrestling again there, Jerry. And you know what? Love what they're doing. AEW was just in town for us. So I got to watch a live episode of Dynamite. They were pretty cool. Uh, we're entering a golden era of wrestling again, my friend. The times are good again.
Yeah, it's great news. Congratulations to Triple H. I know he'll do really well over there. I know he's got a lot of things in the works over there for those guys, and wow, we'll see how loose they let the chain go, the McMahons, as far as really, really, really what really happens. So we'll see.
And speaking of our favorite, most wacky wrestler, good old Buff, Marcus Alexander Bagwell, the real Marc Bagwell. Mark has had a little bit of a siesta and getting some stuff together. So he's had a bit of a hiatus right now and doing really well. He taped for us a promo pretty recently. Looks amazing, looking solid. So we're wishing him obviously the best. Any word back from the family? Have people been able to keep in touch with him, or are you guys too busy hunting on the farm?
A little bit of both. Hunting for sure. Hunting like every day, every afternoon, and that's what it's all about. September through middle of February. But no, on him, everything's great. It looks really good. Sounds really good. His older brother. We talked to him a few days ago. We FaceTimed you, I guess, last weekend, and he's had conversations with him. The middle brother, John, they've had conversations. His dad, of course, everything's good. All go. Congratulations to Buff, Mark. There's nothing, as you know, there's nothing he can't do. You put it in front of him. He's full steam ahead and better days ahead. And he's doing really well. Thanks to everyone that's reached out to the family, all the prayers, the well wishes, the bad wishes, everybody that's got time to, and so we're really happy, really pleased with how everything's going. Dallas really doing a really good job. Dallas helping out and everything. I guess Dallas has reached out to Buff's older brother, Steve, and I think they kind of communicated back and forth and tied everything together. So Dallas does a real good job, as you know. I mean, Dallas has been a family friend for many, many years, and we love him. So good for those guys. That was one of my shout outs we talked about. We're going out to Marcus for doing such a good job and coming through rehab and everything. And he looks really good, like you said. But yeah, good for them.
The family should note that the fans have been overwhelmingly positive as far as the responses on social media on our episodes. They're loving how Mark is looking. They're wishing him all the best. He's sounding great. They're really excited to see him again live on the show and hear the stories. And it takes a really, really strong person to say, hey, I got a problem. I need to look after this and I'm going to do it. And very often when you got to fix something, it doesn't happen overnight. Start, stop till you find that magic formula. And Mark's working through it. Anybody's ever been through any kind of addiction or any kind of illness, you carry it for your whole life. Then it's something you have to consciously think about every single day. So he's putting in the time. Had to put other commitments on hold, but he's got to put the time into himself. He recognizes that, and that's great. And I just, he looks unbelievable. Like, just his talking and his look, he already looks 10 years younger. So that's fantastic. And only see positivity coming from him. Any other stories as far as anything updates wise, as far as timelines, has he indicated all, or right now it's continuing to rest and seeing where things go?
Yeah, just laid back right now, chilling, taking it easy, gathering everything back together. No dates. I'm pretty sure that I guess with the producers and everything, we don't have an exact date, do we? I mean, we don't. Do we have an exact? Okay.
Not yet.
I haven't seen anything come across the email, so I didn't really know. And of course, we don't push him, and so that's at his own pace, and that's good. But it looks good, feels good. back to his old self, and we're really happy to bring that to everyone.
It's amazing how time flies because it's already been a few weeks, It feels like it was yesterday, but it already is a few weeks. But when you're going through what he's going through, it goes by in a moment. Like in some ways he feels like he's probably been there for 5 years, in other ways he feels like it's been 5 minutes. So we applaud him on doing the work. It'll be so exciting to see him back and full action and seeing where things are headed. And again, he's coming into a really prime time in wrestling because we are really in a golden age right now as far as where WWE is at, AW, Impact's going strong. So there's gonna be lots of options. And a 100% Buff Bagwell, there's always going to be room in the wrestling inn for him, no doubt about it.
I'm hoping for the best on that too. A few things were in the works before he went to rehab, so I'm sure he'll continue with that. He'd make a great side man for somebody, a co-pilot or somebody on WWE. So, we'll see how it goes, and
We'll
hope
wait
for
to,
the best.
the doors will open. And we talked about previous episodes about that the Hall of Fame will come for him one day, and I can see that definitely happening. The contributions that he has given to wrestling, and in later episodes we're going to talk about some of that, including his tag team work. But before we get to our future episodes and our future weeks, we're going to jump today a little spotlight on Mr. Jerry Hood. Because when you've come on the various weeks talking about the real Marc Bagwell. Jerry, you've been very good about being in the shadows, but for people to understand, because people have been writing in and asking, who the heck is this guy? Why do I care about him? Why is he on my screen? Because he's first cousin, he's in the family, and because he's freaking awesome. But we want to learn a little
I
bit about your.
appreciate that.
Let's hear about Jerry Hood today.
Yeah, I've
And
seen the good. I've seen the good. I've seen the bad, the comments, and I guess everybody, backstage when they ask us, and of course they answer back. And what do you want to say, or what have you? Everything's always positive on our end, but sometimes it doesn't always work out on that end. And hey, we welcome all comments, and at least they're watching. Hopefully, they'll subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and we get more views and everything. But yeah, go ahead. I'm wide open for
And that's a very
whatever.
good and that's a good point because we love when people hit the subscribe button, they give the comments, and there's nothing worse when you don't hear when the silence. But when you have the comments, even when they're negative, we answer back everybody. We talk to them, and it's very often they'll turn from negative into positive because they're very brave behind the screen. But they do make valid points. They just don't necessarily know how they express it. But we don't. But we're thick skin here. We can take it. That's fine. There's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why it's the real Marc Bagwell. And to understand the background of who's talking about Marc and why we're bringing this series and the histories, to understand the history of Buff Bagwell, let's know. We know his upbringing. We've talked about it in previous episodes as far as family and what life was like for him. Mr. Jerry Hood, when he comes into this world, Jerry, what was your family like? What was life like for Jerry Hood growing up?
Wow, everything for us was really good. Um, Marietta, Georgia, born and raised, just like Buff, and we grew up fast. It seems like yesterday, but our family owned businesses in Marietta, as you already know, growing up from service station, car dealerships, convenience stores. They did a little bit of everything. But growing up, going to school there in Marietta, I had two sisters, one older sister. She's 3 years older than me. And then I had a younger sister, 3 years younger. And they used to be wrestling fans, I guess. So they watched a little here and there. But now I think as time progressed, they kind of grew away from it. But basically, mom and dad, great people, born and raised in Marietta, met in Marietta, knew the Bagwells since the 1940s. I mean, and of course, that's uh, a big deal there. But a lot of people didn't know this, but Marc Bagwell's father dated my mother before he dated Judy Bagwell. A lot of people did not know that, and very short lived. And I think that pretty much after that, he's like, wait a minute, I think Big Steve, but you know, Buff Daddy's daddy, Big Steve. He's like, wait a minute, you got an older sister. And I think from there, you know, of course, that was, golly, I'd say early 60s. And they were married over 50 years. So it was a match made in heaven, I guess, if you will. But no, my parents split, wow, maybe mid to late 70s and went their separate ways. And my mom did a heck of a job, single mom, raising three brats, you know, and I stayed pretty much, I guess as time progressed, you know, once I hit 15, 16 years old, and they were like, you're getting a new car. Catch you later. I stayed gone, so it's no big deal. But then I guess growing up there in Marietta, great times. Mark and I stay connected from the time we were 3 years old till today. So over 50 years of, or right at 50 years, is unbelievable. Of course, once we got old enough, we worked at the Bagwell family lumber yard, as you know it, and I pretty much learned that business inside and out, and became a salesperson. And then once the family closed the doors there in the mid to late 80s, I went to work for the competitor as a salesperson, inside sales, outside sales, and loved it. Absolutely, absolutely loved it.
So you were always a natural born salesperson, I would take it, which runs in the family, obviously.
I I would say, you know, yeah, but I mean, everyone says that. I say no. Pretty much everything pretty much sells itself. You know, they're coming to buy from you, whether it be building material, alcohol sales, it sells itself. You got to be good to the person buying it. They'll buy from you if they like you. And that's something that they always, Big Jude, that's something she always told us. You know, you got to be good to them, give them a good price, give them a good deal, and they'll come back. And that's worked, you know, forever and ever and ever.
And you actually sell now some of people's favorite products. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Wow, I can a little bit,
Just
yeah,
a bit.
without getting in trouble. But here in Atlanta, I've been doing alcohol sales for quite some time now. And the funny thing about that is everybody laughs about it. I've never had a drop of alcohol to drink in my life. Not a beer, not a shot, not a glass of wine, not a. I mean, I don't know how. How old am I? 43. I don't know. However old I
23?
am.
How old are you?
I'm going on 57.
So you're
So
everybody's favorite guy to hang out with because you have the access to the product, the alcohol, and you're the designated driver. You're the
wow,
best.
I'll be your double D's anytime. But yeah, for sure, the alcohol, the samples that we get. Sometimes we get samples, sometimes we don't. But it's anything. People give us gifts for Christmas. I've got one of my garages here pretty much full of just samples or something we get, or you know, people giving gifts or whatever. And then come Christmas time or Thanksgiving, it's good to go to a family member's house or something with a good bottle of wine, or a bottle. Right now, the hottest thing out there right now is tequila, which overtook bourbon. I've got a bottle of Blanton's over there on my desk. I don't know if you know what Blanton's bourbon is, but
I'm aware.
Blanton's and Weller. But no, I work for a large distributor basically here in the Atlanta area, fed by some of the good suppliers, the Diageo's, William Grant, Sazerac, which Sazerac's the supplier for Weller and Blanton's, and a lot of great products. I have a good time. I've got a great crew, good staff, great ownership. Team leads are phenomenal. I wouldn't have it any other way. They're really good to me. Great hours, great hours there, great hour that gives you great hours on the farm. And you don't hear, you pretty much tie up your loose ends. You don't hear really anything from anyone. But I have a good time with it. I've got a great bunch of clients. They it just blows me away not being a drinker of you say you send an order someone for $50,000 and then you go in 2 weeks later to meet with that client and they need another $50,000 to $100,000 of Johnny Walker. It's crazy out there. I've got a brand that took off. I've got two brands that really took off. Johnny Walker's always been strong. Espolon Tequila, unbelievable. Just spelt exactly like it sounds. Espolon Tequila, and Milagro Tequila, unbelievable. I'm selling on the podcast here. So anybody in the Atlanta area that buys that, hey, you're helping the farm in a good cause. I really appreciate it. But going into sales and being in Atlanta, like I say, it's a place to be. It's one of the larger markets for the alcohol industry, and like I say, I have a good time with it. So,
if you live in the Atlanta area, folks, the party is at Jerry Hood's house. No question about it. As we sum
for
up
sure.
today's episode, Jerry, I got to ask you because you have entered the ring once professionally,
Wow.
once upon a time. Let's talk about that again very briefly. And as well, did you ever see yourself when Marc went into wrestling, professional wrestling? Did you ever think, you know what? Maybe this is something for me. Maybe I want to get into it. Did it ever come calling for you?
We definitely talked about it for sure. And that's been early 90s. And I don't know that he remembers. He would, I guess, once we, touch on it. But I really had thought about it, leaving the lumber side of sales. And I guess with me, though, I got a great looking body for sure. But
You're an
yeah,
Adonis.
yeah. But I mean, I just don't know if I could do that every day and train every day. It's just something I don't like. I know how to diet. I know how to the right things to eat, what not to eat. But I just don't know if I could do it to train to stay that big. But we talked about it and I never really pursued it. And his young middle brother John, he did. And of course, he made it and for a while and had fun with it. But I guess the first time I ever got into the ring, some remember and some don't, was I accidentally went to a match with Marc, and I think I was just we were just hanging, and I had on black jeans, black Reebok high tops, and a black NWO shirt, and a black hat. And that's just what I had. It fit the night, and we went somewhere for it was a fundraiser for a high school band or football team. And Marc can tell you more where it was at. And the special guest that night was Steve Smith from the Atlanta Hawks. And Steve Smith had teamed up with the Steiner brothers. And it was the Steiner brothers of old from the early 90s. So Big Papa Pump, solid as a rock. The dog faced gremlin, Rick Steiner, what a great guy! They're great brothers, great friends of the family. But it was supposed to be the Steiner brothers and Steve Smith versus Buff Bagwell and Vincent from the NWO. Vincent was a no-show.
We
So
know him also as
Marc,
Virgil from his WWF days.
Virgil, sorry,
Yes.
Virgil,
But he
yes.
but he was Vincent in WCW. You are correct.
Oh, I did get okay. Sorry. Okay, good. All right. So no showed. Something happened. He said something come up. And Marc came to me. He said, Jimmy, because I call Marc Jimmy and he calls me Jimmy. He said, you're on. You're in the ring with me tonight. And I went from like 6'2", 6'3" to 2'3". I was like, I don't know, man. He said, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I'll handle everything. You don't have to do anything but speak, blah, blah, blah. So we kind of go over everything that night. And of course, the crowd's for Steve Smith and it's Atlanta. So evidently it must have been somewhere in Atlanta. The crowd is cheering. We come out first to the NWO the black and white, the black. Is that what this is? That NWO white or is
New World Order?
Yeah, we came out to that. We get in the ring. Mark's actually a heel at this point, and he is pretty much cussing the crowd, and Bob, they're booing us and they're throwing stuff at us, this and that. And before we got into the ring, basically the finish, real quick before the real match between Steiner brothers, or Scott Steiner against Marc Bagwell, the Steiner brothers were going to shoot in. Their music was going to come on. They're going to bust us. Steve Smith's coming in with them. And Rick Steiner whispered to me, he said, if you're in the ring when I get there, I will full suplex you in front of everyone. And I'm looking at him like, sure you will. He meant business. And Mark whispered to me and said, when you hear their music, get out of the ring because he will kill you. And sure enough, we're running our mouths in the ring, and here comes the Steiner brothers music. And I thought they were going to come out just walking like we did, slowly to the music. And I look up, and Steve Smith and the Steiner brothers are in a full sprint coming down the ramp. And I got out of town. And I was gone, and it was short-lived, and we had a good time with it. But
did you run through the crowd? How did you get out of there?
I basically slid under the bottom rope, and of course there was the ringside seats, and I went back around, jumped over the railing, and got out one of the back doors, and never got the full suplex, and because I've been body slammed before in a ring, and it's no joke. I mean, it is. I told you, it's like running the ropes. Everybody thinks that those are rubber bands and it's fun, but they'll bruise you up just like when you get body slammed. After you get body slammed 2 or 3 times, you'll sleep about the next 24 hours. It puts a beating on your body. It really does. A lot of people don't really realize what those guys go through, but I lived it there, and I know I saw it.
For anybody out there listening that was attending at that time, remembers Jerry Hood in the ring, sprinting out. If you have footage of this, please share with us because we haven't been able to locate it. Jerry does not even have a copy of it, but we would love to see it, and definitely love to see Jerry's experience in the ring. And you never know, Jerry could have led to something, but the people that buy the alcohol from you are very grateful that you went into sales and stayed in sales.
Oh, for sure. No doubt about that.
So we're going to take a break here, and thank everyone for listening, and make sure again to hit the comments. Any questions you have for Jerry, please feel free to share them, and we'll be back next week with more of the Real Marc Bagwell.